It's been nearly a decade since the last console-based Monster Hunter was released. Now that Monster Hunter World is out, it's time once again to go full hermit. I expect to log in about 50 hours by the end of the month. Hi, I'm Cristal Marie with the Leaderboard, and we're on the hunt for 107 facts about Monster Hunter World. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. Monster Hunter World was released worldwide on January 26th of this year. World is the 5th major title in the series, not counting Frontier. This is the first game in the entire series to be released worldwide on the same date. Previous titles were released first in Japan and then released in other regions months later. Some of the games never even made it outside of Japan. Monster Hunter World has 3 editions that were only purchasable before the game's official launch: Pre-Order Edition, Deluxe Edition, and Collector's Editions. Each one comes with a plethora of exclusive in-game content such as armor, weapons, and cosmetics. The Deluxe Edition costs $69.99 and comes with a samurai set as well as 3 in-game gestures, 2 sticker sets, extra face paint, new hairstyles, and 14 weapon-themed PSN avatars if you bought it on the PS4. Contents of the Deluxe Edition can also be purchased separately as of January 26th. The physical Collector's Edition is the big one, containing all of the Deluxe Edition's perks as well as a 32-page art book, a statuette of World's flagship monster Nergigante, the digital soundtrack, and a fancy box to carry all of that in. This edition costs $149.99. Why isn't Monster Hunter World just called Monster Hunter 5, or Monster Hunter 5XX, or Monster Hunter 5 Super Freedom X Ultimate? There are several reasons for that. Lore-wise, the game is set on a new continent called the New World. Monster Hunter World's title is also inspired by the fact that it's a semi-open world game. Maps are much larger now and are no longer comprised of loosely connected zones. Instead, you get to explore the ecosystems and all of its various biomes without the clutter of loading screens. Let me repeat that. There will be less loading screens. You as excited as I am? Another reason that Capcom decided not to use the name Monster Hunter 5 is because they were afraid that new prospective players would be intimidated, knowing that there were 4 full games plus several spin-offs and re-releases leading up to it. So instead, they went for a new, more accessible title. But perhaps most importantly, Monster Hunter World is Capcom's declaration of world domination. In the video game industry at least, it's no secret that Monster Hunter is Capcom's biggest property, with sales rivaling and sometimes even surpassing Pokemon in Japan. But the series has not had the same amount of success in the West. Capcom decided to take a huge risk and plunge once more into the Western AAA market with Monster Hunter World. To do this, they made several major changes to the core game design in an attempt to make the game appeal more to potential Western fans. The most apparent change is that World is a console game rather than a handheld one. This is a big deal because it means that multiplayer is limited to online play. There is no longer an offline multiplayer option. This may seem par for the course for Western audiences, but in Japan, this is a serious shift in how the game is played. You see, a lot of Monster Hunter's success in Japan is due to it being a mobile game. Mobile Monster Hunter fits perfectly into the daily grind in Japan, where you can see businessmen and students alike squeezing in a hunt or two during their morning commute. Japan's gaming community is also very tightly knit, so local multiplayer is easier to enjoy. By changing multiplayer, Capcom is clearly favoring international appeal over home success. This also explains why Monster Hunter World will not be coming to the Switch. People in the West own more PS4s and Xbox Ones than Switches, and the developers were also worried that the Switch wouldn't be able to handle the game without resolution and frame rate drops. It's a shame, because the Switch seems like the perfect portable console for World, but alas, it's a no-go. As usual, multiplayer supports up to 4 hunters at a time. Monster Hunter World's new Flare feature allows you to summon help even in the middle of a fight, although you can also form parties the old-fashioned way before embarking on a hunt. World has an in-game chat function. If you're too lazy to type, there are plenty of emotes to help you communicate with your fellow hunters. The story campaign itself lasts between 40 to 50 hours. That's not including high-level hunts and event quests. Monster Hunter World takes a different approach to story than its predecessors. In previous titles, the player was tasked with helping out a village with their monster-related problems on behalf of the hunting guild. The scale of World's story is far grander than that. You see, in this game, you're not just trying to help a village out with its monster infestation. This time, the hunter is chasing a legendary elder dragon, the Zora Magdaros, into the unknown. Every 10 years, the elder dragons migrate across the ocean and into the New World for an unknown reason. In order to investigate this phenomenon, the New World Elder Dragons Research Group dispatches a team into the New World. As the hunter accompanying the 5th dispatch, it's your job to help them uncover the mystery of the Great Elder Dragon Migration. The new hub is called Astera, and it's here that you'll be spending the most time prepping for your hunts. While in Astera, you can chat with other members of your research team, eat at the canteen, sleep and save, stock up on supplies, create new equipment at the smithy, and manage your inventory. The Gathering Hub is where you get ready for online quests. Here you can gather with up to 15 other hunters and have a meal together, chat it up, and arm wrestle before going on group quests. Monster Hunter World's director, Yuya Tokuda, explained that many of the game's settings were influenced by real-world locations. A group of designers from the game's team toured Australia and used the locations they visited as inspiration for the ancient forest and the wilderness waste. Players got to experience the hunt for the first time during the World Beta on December 9 through 12 of 2017. There was a second beta shortly after that from December 22nd to the 26th, 2017, and a final beta was held in 2018 from January 19th to the 22nd. Unfortunately, the trio of the betas could only be played by PS4 users. In the beta, hunters could embark on 3 quests. A beginner quest where you hunt the Great Jagras, a low-level quest where you hunt the Barret, and a medium difficulty quest that allows you to hunt the Anjana. A 4th quest where you could hunt the Nergigante was added in the final beta. You could also take on bonus monsters during each of the quests. The monsters change depending on the location you were hunting in. The Ancient Forest is home to the Rathalos, and the Wild Spire Waste is where the fearsome Diablos roams. Clearing any of the quests in this beta would reward you with a face paint option, as well as some useful hunting essentials, such as potions and shock traps. Character customization received quite the overhaul in Monster Hunter World. Face options weren't just updated like in the previous titles. They were completely redone. You're no longer limited to face presets and can now customize your own look with a whole library of options from eyes to chin. Hairstyles are no longer gender exclusive. If you want lovely flowing locks on your male character, then you can have them. Face paint can be customized to fit anywhere on your character's face. You can also change the paint's color. The character creation menu also now allows you to switch between preset lighting conditions. I wish more games had this feature, because lighting really does have a significant impact on how your character looks. Your character will now appear in cutscenes. The only cutscenes in previous Monster Hunter games were monster ecologies and pre-rendered scenes. In World, however, you can watch your character interact with other characters in cutscenes, wearing the armor you have equipped no less. Now let's get down to the hunting part of Monster Hunter World. The first biggest change we want to cover is that stamina consumption has been dramatically reduced. You can now run for almost a minute without draining a full bar, which is a blessing considering how big the maps are now. Another delightful addition is that you will no longer need to rely on paintballs and psychoserums in order to keep track of monsters on the map. Now you use scout flies, which track targets after you've uncovered enough clues to fill the tracking gauge. Unfortunately for the hardcore players, scout flies can't be disabled. Scout flies do more than just track monsters. Those little fiery boys also highlight forageable materials. Keep in mind though that they'll disperse as soon as a fight starts. Despite it seeming like the flies are abandoning you in your time of need, the fact that they leave is actually a good thing. You don't want all that clutter when you're fighting a monster after all. Another addition to your hunting experience is the Mantle tool. Mantles are cloaks that offer hunters time-limited buffs that can significantly change the way they hunt. Ghillie mantles allow you to camouflage with the surrounding flora. If you plan on holding a surprise party for an enemy or sneaking up on them for a beautiful attack, this is the mantle you want. The Rocksteady mantle is like your Iron Man suit. It gives you super armor, protecting you from flinching, reacting to wind effects, and giving you hearing and tremor resistance. You also receive less damage from attacks. If you want to get the jump on enemies, even flying ones, the glider is all the rage. This bad boy lets you glide through the sky, flying squirrel style. Players who wear this mantle will have a huge advantage in mounting monsters. Hunters now have a new gadget that they carry around with them called the Slinger. This nifty tool acts as a crossbow and allows hunters to use Slinger ammo to assist them in unique ways. Types of Slinger ammo include the Slinger Torch, which scares small monsters away, and the Flash Pod, which you can use to stun and blind monsters. These bad boys can also shoot grappling hooks, which help you swing to new positions, and capture nets, which let you catch small critters. Ever bag a wild palico? Aside from the Slinger arsenal, there are many new ways to use old items in Monster Hunter World. One significant addition is that items can now be used while moving. Potions have become much easier to use because of this. You no longer need to bait a creature and wait for the most opportune moment to stop and chug your brew. Now you can heal on the go, just like those fancy Bloodborne hunter boys. Items can also be favorited for faster access. You no longer have to slide slide through your inventory list in order to find what you want. In Monster Hunter World, holding L1 allows you to flip through quick menus, and the right analog stick lets you quickly select what you need. Item crafting has also become easier. Now, when you have the materials needed to craft certain items, those items will be crafted automatically for you. You can set which items you want to be auto-crafted and which ones you don't. Instead of only having one base camp like in the previous titles, there are now several base camps that act as checkpoints throughout the large maps. You can fast travel between camps to catch up to monsters or more effectively gather resources. Another new camp feature is the option to change your equipment mid-hunt. In previous titles, you had to return to the hub if you wanted to change your gear. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, let's talk weapons. Weapons have received quality of life and playstyle changes. All of them have been tweaked to feel less clunky and more fluid, even the heavy weapons. Let's begin with the game's most iconic weapon, the Greatsword. The Greatsword has received a new shoulder tackle attack with iframes and impact damage, as well as a new follow-up charge move. You can tell that you're fully charged when your body is enveloped by a red aura and your hunter flexes. The series' second most iconic weapon, the Sword and Shield, has gotten a few new combos as well. Since you can use items with the weapons out, stingers can be incorporated in your fighting style, and you can even do some attacks while moving. Long swords take the Swordmaster Samurai fantasy to a whole new level in World. There's a new evasive option available, and hunters can now use them to run up the side of a monster for a powerful downward strike. Long swords are still combo-based, which feels great in World's faster playstyle. Dual blades are another combo-based option and are possibly the best one if you want the most hits in for elemental and status effects. In World, they're more mobile than ever, and Demon Dance now even has smoother transitions. If you launch yourself with a forward strike off a ledge, you'll do a wicked spinning move that can be used to simultaneously attack and reposition your body behind the monster. Hammers are still the KO king. They have new charge attacks as well as a hammer down combo, followed by a charged attack. If you choose to wield the hammer, always aim for the head for knockouts. Lances are one of the best defensive options. They have the strongest shield in the game, but have to be played slow and defensively in order to deal some decent damage. The lance charge ends in a jump strike that has the potential to mount a creature. The gun lance is the other go-to weapon for a good defense, but don't worry, in World they have offensive capabilities as well. When you fire a shell now, an explosive spike will impale the monster and detonate a short time after. Charge blades are as versatile as ever. Their sword and shield mode now allows you to backstep and slide to help you reposition. You can then transition into your heavier attacks, but remember to keep your buffs active or you won't be able to use your ultimate move. The Switch Axe has a new and improved bread and butter combo for its sword form. The double slash can now be followed up with a jump and swipe move, which can then go into a charge stab. The charge stab can even put you into mount mode, and from there, you can actually finish the charge stab while mounted. Just call me Stabby on wheels. Hunting horns are more mobile. Kind of. If you're in the middle of a song and need to reposition, you can now waddle a few steps while your song is still going. Insect glaives are by far the best weapons for aerial attacks. Aside from its built-in launch attack, insect glaives can now also dash mid-air in between attacks. If you plan on doing a lot of mounting, want mobility, and like fast weapons, the insect glaive is your best bet. Kinsects have also received some changes. They can now be equipped and upgraded apart from the insect glaive. Bows are sort of the ranged combo weapon due to the fact that many of their moves transition into more powerful moves. Their newest attack, a massive charge shot with recoil, can be used after a string of shots and dashes. In World, they also attain a slide ability which is great for repositioning and faster charging. Bowguns have received a flurry of changes too. Bowguns can now be further modded with suppressors that reduce recoil, reload boosters, deviation stabilizers, point-blank boosters, range boosters, and shield. The amount of mods you can equip depends on the amount of slots available on your bowgun's rarity. The rarer the bowgun, the more slots you'll have. Light bowguns are more mobile this time around. You can dash and slide while using them, giving you some great evasive maneuvers. The light bowgun can also shoot explosive charges into the ground that can be detonated by attacks. Heavy bowguns can now be used while moving, although your movement speed will be slowed when you fire. There are some new ammo types and moves to provide variety to this siege weapon, such as the Gatling mode. New weapons are primarily obtained by following upgrade paths. You'll start with a basic weapon and branch from there into different weapon types and upgrades. Luckily, there's an option if you change your mind about an upgrade and want to go a different path. You can now downgrade weapons. Just be mindful that there are checkpoints in the weapon trees that don't allow you to downgrade between them. The Blade Master and Gunner armor have been combined in World, which means that ranged and melee weapons share the same armors. The lore reason behind this is that technology has improved and that armors have become more sophisticated and can now be used by melee and ranged hunters alike. The weapon and armor previews in the past games only showed you how the piece of gear looked in space, not on your character. In World, however, you can preview how a piece of gear will look on your character before you create it, provided you have the necessary materials. The armor skill system has been simplified as well. Each armor piece now offers its own skill. Set bonuses are still available, but this change opens up more possibilities for mixing and matching your skill sets. Cats are a hunter's best friend, and that doesn't change in Monster Hunter World. Palicos are back, and with a vengeance. They have a few new tricks. One of their new abilities is that they can interact with native cats and smaller monsters found while exploring. Perhaps they can even convince them to help you during the hunt. Palicos can recruit wildcats into the hunt, and they can also learn the native language of the land from them. They can then talk to smaller monsters in the area and recruit them as well. But keep in mind that there's only one extra companion slot. Once the new friendship between cat and monster is formed, your Palico can ride their newly made monster friend into battle. Palicos can be dressed up with their own adorably awesome gear sets. Palico armor and weapons are still made from the scraps left over from the creation of your own gear. Palicos have new equipable abilities too. The Flashfly Cage, for example, allows the Palico to set up a flashbang for hunters to detonate with a hit. Unfortunately, Palico creation isn't nearly as dense as the player character creation. The options still look great, but a little variety wouldn't hurt. In the previous titles, you had to rely on instinct to know how much damage you were dealing. In World, however, numbers indicating damage pop up whenever one of your attacks connect. This can be toggled on and off. In Monster Hunter World, monsters have evolved from previous games too. They can now detect players through sight and smell. As a result, sneaking has become much more complex than simply crouching, tilting slightly forward on the analog, and hoping that the monster doesn't turn around. A viable yet oftentimes suicidal tactic when hunting monsters in the previous titles was to fight them in the same area. The monsters would indirectly damage each other and break each other's body parts. In Monster Hunter World, however, some monsters will fight each other directly. Due to the Darwinian nature of the New World, certain monsters are much more territorial and will fight or scare away other monsters when they approach. Some of the monsters in the New World are pacifists and will only fight you when provoked. Unfortunately, being a nice guy isn't an option, and some quests will require you to hunt them anyways. Monsters in the New World know when they might be losing a fight and aren't afraid to run away. Make sure your stamina is max because you're going to be spending a decent portion of the hunt chasing them around. Terrain plays a huge part in hunting monsters now more than ever. Many areas of the map are destructible and can completely transform the terrain on which you're hunting. Areas that you thought were foundational to the map's design can change, and this can either be hazardous or greatly beneficial, depending on how you use them. For example, when hunting the Rathalos in the ancient forest, you can goad him into destroying the dam, thus creating a waterfall. Then you can use a flash pod to stun the Rathalos on top of the waterfall, sending it drifting down to its doom. My hunter brain is rattling with ideas. Players who have grinded through gathering quests in the previous titles will be thankful to hear that they have now been streamlined into the actual hunting content. How, you ask? With the bounty system, which allows you to take on up to 6 quests called bounties at a time. Bounties require you to collect raw materials, hunt certain monsters, and do other minor tasks separate from the main hunts. They sound similar to the gathering and hunting small monster quests from the previous titles, huh? Well, the great thing about bounties is that you can progress through them while you're out hunting, and you don't have to do them one at a time. There are 3 different types of bounties: registered, essential, and distributed. They each play a significant role in the hunting experience. Registered bounties can be obtained at the Research Resource Management Station, which is one of the new buildings in the new hub. Completing these bounties will snag you some armor spheres for upgrades and research points. Distributed bounties are given out online at fixed intervals. They offer better rewards than registered bounties. Essential bounties are high priority because they unlock facilities. You'll want to do these ASAP because who knows, the facility you unlock might help you on your next hunt. Research quests are unlocked when certain conditions are met. They consist of free quests and event quests. These quests are created from research reports that you come across while out on the fields. If you ever want to explore without worrying about any quests, all you need to do is leave this area map without ever accepting one. This sends you on an exploration. You can keep the materials you get during an exploration. It might be wise to take time off from questing just to gather materials in preparation for your next hunt. The ecology map lets you find items and monsters using scout flies. Just select a point on the map and the scout flies will guide you there. As you progress through explorations and quests, you'll naturally fill parts of the map up. To help you better tackle these quests, the map now has several different markers that track different points of interest. This helps track things like gathering nodes, traps, and small monsters. You can also set waypoints to those markers or turn them off entirely. If you're ever having trouble with a quest, you can always ask for help. You can form a party the old-fashioned way before you begin the hunt, or you can call for some drop-in backup. The new drop-in system allows players to send an SOS flare, calling other players for some emergency help. Monster Hunter World comes with an optional voice chat feature. Be courteous going into the chat group. Hunts can get pretty heated, but clear minds and teamwork will often get you through the worst of it. Always remember to eat before a quest. Players can fill up on buffs at the new canteen. New canteen means new cooking animation. Look at 'em go. You can also get food on the field. You can have a feast at camp with your guild receptionist friend, or you can cook for yourself on a barbecue spit. They changed the song on the barbecue spit, so it may take some veteran hunters a while to get used to the timing. In the previous Monster Hunters, you had to wait for a second or two after the song ended in order to get the meat well done. Now you can just lift the meat off the spit as soon as the song ends. The trade-off is that while meat is easier to cook now, the tune isn't nearly as catchy. To save hunters a bit of time, Monster Hunter World has a wishlist feature that lets you put the gear you want to create next onto a wishlist. This wishlist will show all the required materials. Once you have those materials, the wishlist will notify you that the piece of gear can be created. NPCs actually talk now. Longtime fans of the series are very torn about this change because the gibberish from the previous series was endearing and added to the silliness of the game. Still, it's a lot more useful to listen to tutorials rather than having the whole game paused just so you can brush up on basic slice and dice. Online event quests are back. These limited time events allow you to collect special raw materials that can be crafted into collaboration outfits, such as Mega Man and Horizon Zero Dawn themed outfits. There'll be some extra paid content too. None of the paid content will affect gameplay directly, but it will include more cosmetic options. You can get new outfits for the receptionist and even some cute pajamas for Poogie. That's right, your favorite hunting hug Poogie is back and he's pink as ever. If you've had a bad hunt and need something to cuddle, Poogie will be there to cheer you up. There you have it. Once again, I'm Cristal Marie, and thanks for watching 107 Facts about Monster Hunter World. Have you played yet? What new feature is your favorite? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of the notification squad. And if you like getting more from your games, subscribe to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.